The Plagiarism Tutorial by Cunningham Memorial Library of Indiana State University. In this plagiarism tutorial, we will first have an introduction, then we will define plagiarism. We'll give a few examples. We'll show you how to avoid plagiarism. We'll discuss in-text citations, how they relate to plagiarism. We'll discuss common knowledge and plagiarism. Then we'll go through a conclusion and a printable checklist. The introduction. Do not plagiarize. This is something you hear in every class, but what exactly does it mean? Plainly speaking, plagiarism is putting someone else's words or ideas in your paper and letting the reader believe that those words or ideas are actually yours. Some students plagiarize unintentionally because they don't know how to recognize plagiarism or how to cite ideas and quotations properly. But whether it's done intentionally or unintentionally, plagiarism is a serious academic offense for which a student can be expelled. As a college student, most of the ideas you put in your paper belong to other people. After all, this is a time when you are still acquiring the fundamental knowledge from which ideas grow. How then can you avoid plagiarism? After completing this tutorial, you will understand how to recognize plagiarism and how to avoid it. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is a form of academic dishonesty, just like cheating. And when you claim someone else's ideas and words as your own, you are stealing. No university that wants to maintain its academic integrity will allow cheaters and thieves to remain on its campus, so please don't be a cheater and a thief. 2.1 Defining Academic Integrity Misconduct. It is important to understand how Indiana State University defines plagiarism because it is the university's definition against which your work will be evaluated. The definition of plagiarism in this tutorial is taken verbatim from the ISU Code of Student Conduct section 2.1.2 Plagiarism. Read it carefully because some of the actions the university defines as plagiarism may surprise you. So ISU Code of Student Conduct, section 2.1.2 Plagiarism. That's located at https://www.innstate.edu/code-of-student-conduct/academic-policies/defining-misconduct. Plagiarism is intentionally or carelessly presenting the work of another as one's own. It includes submitting an assignment purporting to be the student's original work, which has wholly or in part been created by another. It also includes the presentation of the work, ideas, representation, or words of another without customary and proper acknowledgement of sources. Students must consult instructors for clarification in any situation in which documentation is an issue, and students will be considered to have plagiarized whenever their work is improperly cited. The penalty for plagiarism depends on the severity of the offense. For an explanation of the possible disciplinary actions, read the Student Code of Conduct at http://www.innstate.edu/sci/docs/codeconduct.pdf. Plagiarism examples. Plagiarism includes but is not limited to copying and pasting text from online media, such as encyclopedias or journal articles, without attribution. Number 2, copying and pasting text from any website without attribution. 3, transcribing text from any printed material, such as books, encyclopedias, newspapers, journal articles, and magazines, without attribution. Number 4, simply modifying text from any of the above sources without proper citations. This includes lifting portions of another source and using them as your own work. Number 5, replacing a few selected words using a thesaurus. Number 6, using photographs, videos, or audio without permission or acknowledgement. Number 7, using another student's work and claiming it as your own, even with the other student's permission. The latter is an act of collusion in which both students are plagiarizing. Number 8, acquiring work from commercial sources, including buying papers off the web or paying someone to do the work. Number 9, translation from one language to another without citations. Number 10, submitting an essay or paper that was written for another class or another purpose without the consent of the current instructor. 11, using your previous work in any way as a basis for new assignments without citing the original work in the bibliography. Let's look at some examples of plagiarism. The first example will be copying and pasting text from online media, such as encyclopedias or journal articles, without attribution is plagiarism. If you copy and paste the section from this online encyclopedia into your paper and let the reader believe that the words are all yours, you have committed plagiarism. So we're looking at a paragraph from an entry in the Iron Curtain from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And we have an example citation in MLA style at the bottom of the screen. So again, copying and pasting text from any website without attribution. So if you copy and paste the section below into your paper and you let the reader believe the words are all yours, you've committed plagiarism. And here we're looking at a web page for climate change impacts from the United States Environmental Protection Agency website. So we have a paragraph selected. If you copy this and you do not cite it, then you've committed plagiarism. Our next example is transcribing text from any printed material, such as books, encyclopedias, newspapers, journal articles, and magazines without attribution. So if you copy this sentence from the book The Cold War, put it into your paper, and let the reader believe that the words and ideas are all yours, you have committed plagiarism. So we're displaying a section of this text from the book, The Cold War, and we're looking at the first chapter, Emergence of the Cold War, and the first part of that chapter. And we're not committing plagiarism because we're citing that. We're showing a small part of the work, and then we cite it. Our next example, replacing a few selected words using a thesaurus, or just using words from your own head to get synonyms. This is plagiarism. So here we're showing our original passage from the book The Recurrent Crisis in Corporate America, and we are looking at that first sentence from the book. And our student has taken that and made small changes. So look at this example of replacing a few words with synonyms. So the original passage says, in the space of less than 12 months in 2001 to 2002, more than a quarter of the largest corporations in the American economy experienced downturns in current sales revenues or prospects for future revenues that caused their common share prices to fall from the $50 range to $1 or less. What our student wrote was, in less than 12 months between 2001 and 2002, over 25% of the largest corporations in the United States economy experienced downturns in current revenues or possibilities of future revenues, which caused their common share prices to fall from around $50 to $1 or less. So the synonyms aren't the only problem. This sentence also has the same structure as the original. If you type the above section, the student section, into your paper, and you let the reader believe that the words and structure are all yours, you have committed plagiarism. So how do you avoid plagiarism? You have learned what you can't do in your paper. If you can't copy and paste, then how can you use someone else's ideas without committing plagiarism? The answer: you must cite the source. So what does it mean to cite your source? To cite or document a source is to tell the reader whose ideas and words are included in your paper and where those ideas and words were found. Citing is a two-step process. The first step is to cite in the body of your paper. The second step is to cite at the end of your paper. The citation in the body of the paper is called an in-text citation or a parenthetical citation. The citation at the end of the paper is called an end-of-text citation or a cited work or a reference. A list of the end-of-text citations is called a cited works list or a reference list or a bibliography. Depends on your citation style. This tutorial focuses on only in-text citations because it is during this process when you can avoid most plagiarism problems. So how to avoid plagiarism? There are formats or rules to follow for citing sources, and these formats are described in publications called style manuals. Style manuals instruct you on what information you must include in your citations and on the order of the information in your citations. There are several different style manuals, each one slightly different from the others. Academic disciplines usually favor one style over another. Many social science disciplines use the APA style, the American Psychological Association style, which is published in the publication manual of the American Psychological Association. Many humanities disciplines use MLA style, or the Modern Language Association of America style, which is published in the MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers. So let's see how to do in-text citations using APA style. So in-text or parenthetical citation. Let's discuss quotes. To use someone else's exact words is to quote. It is perfectly fine to use quotes in your papers, but you must put quotation marks at the beginning and the end of the quote, and long quotes are handled differently. And number 2, indicate who wrote the quote and where you found it. So there are a few ways to cite a quote in your text. So look at this passage from page 6 of the book The Great Influenza, the Epic Story of the Deadliest Plague in History by John M. Barrie. So we're presented with our quote. So according to Barrie, parentheses, 2001, end parentheses. So Barrie tells who originally wrote the words, and the 2001 shows the source of the quote is Barrie's 2001 work. That's our in-text citation. So according to Barrie, 2001, comma, and then we have quotation marks, so taken directly from the text. Even after European medicine changed, medicine in the United States did not. In research and education especially, American medicine lagged far behind, and that made practice lag as well. End quotation marks. And now we have parentheses, page P.8, page 8, end parentheses, period. So this P8 shows that the quote is from page 8 of the source. Now, according to APA citation style, you would put a quotation longer than 40 words in a block quote. You do not use quotation marks for this. Look at this citation for a long quote from Tom Brokaw's The Greatest Generation. So our passage from our student paper says, in The Greatest Generation, comma, Tom Brokaw, parentheses, 1998, end parentheses. So again, Tom Brokaw shows who originally wrote the words, and the 1998 within parentheses shows the source of the quote is Brokaw's 1998 work. So we'll continue. Tom Brokaw, parentheses 1998, reverently described the men and women who fought during World War II. Then we have our block quote, taken from his book. It is a generation that by and large made no demands of homage from those who followed and prospered economically, politically, and culturally because of its sacrifices. It is a generation of towering achievement and modest demeanor, a legacy of their formative years when they were participants in and witnessed to sacrifices of the highest order. They know how many of the best of their generation didn't make it to their early 20s, how many brilliant scientists, teachers, spiritual and business leaders, politicians, and artists were lost in the ravages of the greatest war the world has seen, period. Then we have parentheses P.11 end parentheses. So the block quote blocks the format. The block format shows that it's a direct quote. It's indented. And then the P11 shows the quote is from page 11 of the original source. Now, paraphrases and summaries. In addition to using a direct quote, you can paraphrase or summarize someone else's words. To paraphrase is to put another's ideas into your own words. Paraphrasing is usually at the sentence level. To summarize is to put an entire paragraph, page, chapter, etc. into your own words. A summary is basically a more extensive paraphrase. Now, although you can quote, it is always better to paraphrase or summarize a source because it shows that you actually comprehend the ideas that you're using. Do not paraphrase or summarize if doing so loses the emotion or impact of the original, however. And you must cite paraphrases and summaries. Now, read this paragraph from page 392 of the Cold War, 1945 to 1991, Leaders and Other Important Figures in the United States and Western Europe. So that's the book that this comes from. And I'll just read our critical sentence within that paragraph. So in the original work it says, at that meeting, Oppenheimer suggested to Groves that the rapid development of the atomic bomb required a central laboratory. Groves agreed, and the two men soon selected a deserted area near Los Alamos, New Mexico, to be the first of the nation's first nuclear weapons laboratory. Now, look at this paraphrase of the underlined sentence above. Oppenheimer convinced General Leslie R. Groves that the United States could complete an atomic bomb more quickly if research were conducted at a central facility, and by late 1942 this new facility had been built outside of Los Alamos, New Mexico. Then we have our quotation, or our parentheses, the Cold War, 1992, end parentheses, and then the period after that. So the Cold War shows the title of the source because no author is identified. Notice that we've italicized that in our parenthetical citation. And then 1992 shows that the source was published in 1992. And notice we're not specifying the page number because we're not quoting. Notice that the paraphrase is not simply the same passage, with a few words replaced with synonyms. The sentence structure is also different. And also note that although you must give the page number for direct quotes, you don't have to give the page number for paraphrases and summaries when using APA style. Now look at this summary of the entire paragraph. So our summary says, Oppenheimer joined the Manhattan Project in January 1942. Later that year, Oppenheimer convinced General Leslie R. Groves the United States could complete an atomic bomb more quickly if research were conducted at a central facility. This facility was quickly built in a remote area near Los Alamos, New Mexico, and under Oppenheimer's leadership, researchers at the Los Alamos laboratory had completed their task by August 1945. The subsequent bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 6 and 9 ended World War II. Now we have our parenthetical citation. It's the same. So the Cold War shows the title of the source because there's no author identified. In APA, if there is an author, you would use the author's name, their last name. And the 1992 shows the source was published in 1992. So the summary captures the entire paragraph in just a few sentences. So the words aren't simply replaced with synonyms, and the sentence structures are different from the original. So the student has compacted that whole paragraph into what's important for the student's paper. Although not explicitly stated in the ISU standards, you must cite any statistics or other factual information you use in your paper. For detailed information on in-text citations or parenthetical citations, consult the APA or MLA style manual. Common knowledge. Does everything you write in your paper have to be cited? No. You do not have to cite your own original ideas or words unless you have already used them in another paper. You also don't have to cite anything that is common knowledge. Common knowledge is information your average reader would know. How do you determine if something is common knowledge? Ask yourself if you knew the information before taking the class. If you didn't, the information is not common knowledge. Even with this gauge, common knowledge is a tricky issue because what is common knowledge for you may not be common knowledge for someone else. The best rule is, when in doubt, cite. And the Manhattanville College Library has good information on this topic if you need further explanation. In conclusion, remember that citing your source to avoid plagiarism is a two-step process. The first step is the in-text citation, and the second step is the end-of-text citation. This tutorial has only focused on step 1, the in-text citation, because it is during this step that most potential plagiarism problems occur. For further information on formatting in-text citations, such as citing quotes from web pages or multiple authors, consult the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association for APA Style, or the MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers for MLA Style, or the appropriate citation style manual for your citation style. Continue for a checklist of actions that constitute plagiarism. So here's our checklist again. We presented this earlier. Plagiarism includes, but is not limited to, number 1, copying and pasting text from online media, such as encyclopedias or journal articles without attribution. Number 2, copying and pasting text from any website without attribution. Number 3, transcribing text from any printed material, such as books, encyclopedias, newspapers, journal articles, and magazines, without attribution. Number 4, simply modifying text from any of the above sources without proper citations. This includes lifting portions of another source and using them as your own work. Number 5, replacing a few selected words using a thesaurus, or just using words from your own head to get synonyms. Number 6, using photographs, videos, or audio without permission or acknowledgement. Number 7, using another student's work and claiming it as your own, even with the other student's permission, and the latter is an act of collusion in which both students are plagiarizing. Number 8, acquiring work from commercial sources, including buying papers off the web or paying someone to do the work. Number 9, translation from one language to another without citations. Number 10, submitting an essay or paper that was written for another class or another purpose without the consent of the current instructor. And number 11, using your previous work in any way as a basis for new assignments without citing the original work in the bibliography. The penalty for plagiarism depends on the severity of the offense. For a detailed explanation of the possible disciplinary actions, read the Code of Student Conduct. Now, please take a few minutes to complete this quiz. The plagiarism tutorial quiz is located at https://endstate.qualtrics.com/?SID equals SV underline 5M R E 2 M F M R H A Q 6 C R. Good luck, and don't plagiarize.